Hello. 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 Hello.
Trying to reach is currently unavailable. Please leave a message after the beep.
Hello.
Trying to reach is currently unavailable. Please leave a message after the beep.
Hello, hey Utkarsh, I hear a lot of static. Okay, well, sounds like I'm live, and then we are done with resolving the technology issues. And so, hello everyone, IIT Guwahati community. It's good to talk to you this morning. Thank you, Isel, for this initiative. I think this is fantastic to connect the alums with the current IIT Guwahati students. And today, my goal is really to share with you what I've learned as part of the code. It sounds like I'm live, and the types of tools that I've had in my review so far. Issues. Why did I make those? And so, everyone, help me make those transitions. The plan today would be, I'll start with a brief introduction. Cover those different roles, and then towards the end of it, we will. I'm happy to take questions. I would like it to be as interactive as possible. Brief background, I'll break it down into two parts. Part one, when I was at IIT, and part two, what I've done since then. So just to give you some context, I'm IIT Guwahati Computer Science class of 2009. The first 2 years I was in Kaming Hostel, and last 2 years I was with the Hing Hostel. And I have really fond memories of my time on campus. As a matter of fact, I visited the campus a few times since graduating. So on campus, I was part of a lot of different clubs, activities. So let's see, we won once and twice, which was phenomenal. Once as part of the Kaming Hostel team, and once as the Hing Hostel team. And when I won for the Hing, I was the lead actor for our drama, and we won that. So that was a very special memory. After that, at El Chiringa, I organized Crush twice. I don't know if it is still a part of El Chiringa. Technique, I participated in that as well. Sat on the front desk, handled incoming guests, made sure everything was good. And I was also part of the marketing and sponsorship team at one point. In my second year, I was the cultural secretary of Kaming Hostel. Really great experience, bringing everyone together. Let's go organize Diwali festival on campus and freshers. The talent show to make sure we have the right talent for a month, and then kind of bringing everyone together to compete, and it was fierce. And during my final year, I was the general secretary of Students Welfare Board. As part of that, I started a couple of programs. One of which was the Freshers Week. I don't know if it's still part of the campus culture, but before our batch, there was nothing that used to be there. I was like, after all this hard work we are on campus, there should be proper orientation so that the new students have a feel for the campus. They don't feel like they're away from the home, and they feel like they're welcome and part of a family. I also started Zero Illiteracy Zone, which was, I was really bothered by the fact that we had access to electricity and good food and everything inside the campus, and right outside there was a village where all of that was missing. By the time I graduated, we had about 150 students coming to campus, and we had about 30 IT volunteers who took classes, taught them maths and science. So that was really awesome experience. So that's what I did on campus. Really phenomenal experience. Now that you are there, we'll talk about how you can maximize or things that I wish I did when I was in school. Now, after graduating, I always wanted to be a part of early stage startup. I always wanted to start my own company. So that's what I did fresh after graduating. As a matter of fact, in my as a part of my internship, I went to Los Angeles and worked for a LA-based startup in 2008. It was really early stage. I worked as a software engineer, founding software engineer, built the product. After that, one thing I realized was, I'm really excited about technology and I like building products. But what I really like about that is actually interacting with customers, understanding what problems they're trying to solve, and building solutions to solve those problems. So I learned about this new role called product management and slowly transitioned into that. So joined this company called AppNata in Boston, where I managed a product called TraceView. And TraceView was in distributed transaction tracing. So if you have your application which is really distributed in nature, spread across multiple clouds or on your data center, if you want to understand the performance of different components of your application, you just install our agent and boom, you have insight into what's the performance of your application server, web server, database layer, cache layer, all by adding very little overhead to your application in production. So that was a phenomenal experience as a product manager. I thought that was the best job possible. In 2016, the product that I managed called TraceView was acquired by a company called SolarWinds. And after that, I was again trying to figure out what should be my next step. I had an opportunity, an offer from Amazon to join as a product manager. But at that time, I really wanted to start a company, and I was like, this is the right time. I just had an exit. I know how to sell to enterprise customers. I know how to build a product. So I think that's what I should do, and now is the right opportunity. So that's what I did. And to start a company, I took a different path. I actually went to business school. I joined Kellogg School of Management in 2017. But before joining the school, I had built an early prototype of the product that I wanted to bring to market. So on school, I took it to the next level, got some funding from the school, built a small team, had a few active users. Some are still using it. But by the end of the school, I did not get conviction that this particular product is something I want to kind of continue building for a foreseeable future. And while in school, I was also venture capital funds. So I interned with two funds, one of which is Benhamo Global Ventures, and the other one is Canaan Partners. Canaan has about $5 billion under management, and their most recent fund is $800 million. And with these two funds, I really enjoyed working with entrepreneurs who are thinking of starting new companies. And I recently moved to the Bay Area. And it is phenomenal here. I mean, things move at a different speed. The kind of ideas that get funded, the risk appetite for venture capitalists is very different compared to other parts of this, and I would say anywhere in the world. So after that experience, I was like, well, venture seems like this could be really interesting. And I joined this firm called Engineering Capital about 7 months ago. So Engineering Capital is a seed stage fund. I want to be the best company in the Bay Area to start best VC firm in the Bay Area to start a company with. We write seed checks of anywhere between $500,000 to 1.5. But what we are really excited about is working with technical founders, people who understand technology at a deep level, people who have a technical insight and are using that to solve business problems. So basically, that's what I've been doing for last 7 months at Engineering Capital and about over a year with different venture firms. So that was my quick introduction. And for those who are still on campus, let me talk about what I learned as part of these different roles. So I started my career as a software engineer. Then I became a sales engineer. Then I became a product manager, and now finally I'm a venture capitalist. I was not even aware of these roles when I was in school, and I wish someone told me. And I wish that I saw the path to these different roles as well. So let's start with software engineering. As a software engineer, I was a part of a very small team, a 4-person team. I worked in close collaboration with the designer and the CTO of the company, built the product, used the lab stack, and hosted the application on Amazon Web Services. And that was in 2008. So 2008 to 2010 timeframe. What I liked about it was I could use what I learned on campus directly. I could use my software engineering skills, build a product that scaled with users. I really understood things that because of the classes that we took on campus. But what really bothered me in some ways was I was basically solving the tickets that were assigned to me in some ways. So we managed this today. There is this product where you assign tickets to software developers, and then they take care of what is assigned to them. You have to write code, push it to production, and you're done. So I was happy with that for a while, but after that, I wanted to see the big picture. Like the products that I'm building, the features I'm building, how do in big picture? What is the business impact of these different components that I'm building, and why are we making these choices anyways? So that was the initial trigger, and I started thinking about, okay, so what's next for me? I know that at least for myself, I don't want to be doing this all day, like just sit in front of a computer. By the way, that is phenomenal if you can do it, and I think those people go on to do great things. But it just wasn't for me, and I realized because of my past experience in school, I want to stay close to technology, but not necessarily write code every day. By the way, I still write code. I think it's a good exercise. It helps you stay connected with the latest and greatest in technology. We have seen how applications move from a monolith architecture to a microservice-based architecture where you're pushing up your kind of put in production and then you don't know where it is. It could be in a container, in a virtual machine, hosted in your private data center, or in the cloud on different zones within Amazon Web Services. So it's really interesting. Kubernetes is there today. That helps you manage all of that. So I still code today, but that's mainly to stay in touch with what's the kind of latest and greatest in how you build and ship applications. Okay, so from the software engineering aspect, now I'm thinking, okay, what's next? I was in Boston like soon after that, and when I was thinking about what is the role that I want, I had no idea. I was like, one thing I know is I want a more customer-facing role. I want to use my technology skills to interact directly with customers. And I started going to a lot of meetups, and that's something I would recommend to you as well. I would encourage you to push yourself out of your comfort zone. Go to a lot of meetups. I don't know what ecosystem in Guwahati, but you can build it. You can start a group. You can have monthly events where you bring in a speaker and interact with them. So I did that, and my goal would be, at any event that I go to, if there are like 50 to 100 people, initially, like I was a little shy. But, oh man, I don't know any of these people. What is the type of conversation I'm going to have with them? I don't have too much to offer. These guys are all really incredible, really smart and driven. But that's where I would say, push yourself. Just set tiny goals. If you go to such an event, maybe like meet one or two interesting people. Just introduce yourself and ask for a follow-up conversation. Maybe meet them for coffee. Slowly, what will happen is after a period of 6 to 8 months, you would have met maybe 50 new people who did not know from school or from your kind of neighborhood, and these are all people who would give you good advice. So that's what I did, really push myself, and as part of my kind of exploration, I came across this role called sales engineering, and I was like, what is that? Talk to a few people, and sales engineering is basically you are selling your product, you own the product demonstrations and trials in collaboration with the salespeople of your team. You work very closely with the product team as well, but you are not directly making any contribution to the product. So that's what I did. I could use my understanding of technology to give demonstrations to customers. Now, what happened here is, as part of that role, I really quickly understood that if you want to close a deal, work with customers, it's not about showing and telling what your product can and cannot do. It's really about understanding the problem they're trying to solve, and then how can they solve it using your product better than anything else that's available in the market. So I'll give you a brief example. When I started with being a sales engineer, I would be like, hey, look at TraceView. We do distributed transaction tracing. We can paint the full picture all the way from your end user's browser to your application server. We provide you insight into the browser, the network, and the application. Where is the problem? Boring, right? You are like lost by this time. But if I spend some time doing the discovery with you, dear Mr. Customer, what are you trying to do? What is the stack of your application? Is it written in Java? What kind of web server are you using? Are you using Tomcat? What version are you using? Where is the problem? Have you tried these open source tools which are available? Have you tried New Relic or App Dynamics? And then people start talking, right? You need to gain their trust, learn what they're trying to do, and then you have to weave a story around that. So I learned that after customers would start talking, I would be like, okay, so you really don't care about APM as such. All you want to do is, get an alert when your application is inaccessible from somewhere in Germany or somewhere in Bangalore, and then you want to be alerted. You want someone to take care of it. Fine. Then we don't have to go do a complete product deep dive. I can just show you the parts that you need, how you can solve it, and then we'll continue the conversation. So that was a very interesting takeaway for me. But so what really helped me after this as well? That's another question that would be interesting for you guys. I wasn't just being a sales engineer. I knew that my goal was to be a product manager. Now that is another conversation. Like it itself could be a longer session later. But from being a software engineer to product management, typically there are three different paths. One is you can continue growing in your organization, and then at some point you have such intimate understanding of how your systems work, what your customers are trying to do, that you're promoted to be a product manager. That is a very long path. The probability of you successfully making a switch is, I would say, low. I can't put a number on it right now. I have seen people do it, but I think in general it's hard. The second path is go get an MBA. MBA would really help you in like adding structure to a problem where the structure does not exist. If someone came and told you, hey, I have this idea of a toothbrush that will automatically measure something in your mouth and then give you health metrics. Well, sounds like a cool idea. Who doesn't want to be healthy while brushing the teeth in the morning, and I don't have to take any more measurements? But then from that point, with an MBA, or even if you start thinking from that perspective, start thinking about who are the people you're targeting and how big is that market. Do little kids care about that? Maybe. Do like elders care about that? More likely. Do the young people care about it? Sure, but do they have the money? Can they spend on it? So you will be able to add that perspective to any question or feature request that comes in when you're working as a product manager. So MBA is the second path. And the third path, the path that I followed, was to move from a software engineer to a sales engineer, and then work my way into product. Now, from a sales engineer to a product role is also very hard. But here's what I did. In addition to doing my regular job, I was pushing myself, just like you are on campus right now. And I was able to pick trends in the market early on, before anyone else in my company. So 6 months before Docker containers became a thing, I picked it up because a lot of our customers were like, do you support Docker containers? I was like, what is Docker? I don't know what that is. But I started tracking that in a separate area. And then at one point I was like, we really need to support it. Otherwise we're going to start lose customers and they will just buy our competing products. We had a strong case for that, backed by data. Anything you say in your organization, and that's very important. If you go to your manager once you are in the real world, if you say something to your manager, it's an opinion. But if you have data backing it up, that person will listen to you. And with data, you can talk to anyone. That's the beauty of it. You can talk to all the way to VP, SVP, or even CEO of a smaller company, and they listen to you. If you don't have data to back what you're saying, it is just an opinion, and their opinion will be valued more than yours because they have been doing this longer. So anything I said as a sales engineer was backed by data. And slowly, because of these trends that I picked up ahead of time, within my organization, they were like, oh, this guy at least has some understanding of what's happening in the market. He might be the right fit. And when the opportunity was there in my organization to become a PM, I had to take my shot, and I was like, I would like to be one. So went through the process and ultimately gained the trust of the organization and became a PM. Now, that brings us to the role of a product manager. So we've discussed software engineering, we have discussed sales engineering, and now let's talk about product management. I think that's the best job possible out there. But that's also, it may not be for everyone. one thing that you will notice is as you make these transitions, you are kind of getting away from the code, but you're also like on a spectrum of code to customer. You're moving away from the code and moving closer to the customer. And your success as a product manager is really going to be dependent on how close you are to the customer. Are you able to solve their problems? Are you able to filter what they're telling you that they want versus what they're actually trying to do? And I'll give you a few examples. Now, as a PM, my role changed again. Earlier, as a sales engineer, I could be like, "Hey, we want to support Docker, and our customers are asking for it. Somebody go ahead and build it." But as a PM, I had to really filter that down and break it down into tiny actionable pieces. What does that mean? Do you want to see performance of Docker containers? Do you want ease of install? Do you want a new installer for Docker containers? Do you want to see all of your 100 containers in a view where you can quickly see where the problem is? Or do you want performance data for containers that don't exist anymore because these containers go up and down really fast? So now you need to start thinking about that and then break it down into tiny stories that the engineering team can work on. And within that, now you have to prioritize a lot. So I actually wrote a blog on this. If you are interested in product management, go take a look at Medium, A Life in a Day of a Product Manager, where I've shared different types of prioritization I had to do every single day. But you will get bombarded with requests. So what will happen is the salespeople will be trying to close a deal and they'll be like, "Dear product manager, I want to get this new feature out of the door. If I can get it, I can close this $100,000 customer. I really need it. I need your help." Okay. Then you will get a call from the customer success management team and they'll be like, "We have this $250,000 account and they are about to churn because we don't have support for this new technology that that part of their organization has adopted, and if we don't do it, it's going to be a churn. We're going to miss our quarterly goal." Okay, you will get requests from some of your software engineers. They'll be like, "Dear product manager, look at this new feature that I built over the weekend. It's really cool. It's the best. Just ship it and make it part of the product." All right. In addition to that, you are talking directly to the customer. Remember, you are not the only person, but you are the most important person talking to the customer. And the customer is telling you, "Hey, in next 6 months, I have XYZ features. Otherwise, we can't continue to work with you." And then you're also looking at the larger market, the market that you are in. What if it becomes irrelevant in next 2 years? What if there are newer kind of technologies that are going to be in the market, which will make your way of software installation or the insights that you provide all meaningless? It's all possible. And as a PM, constantly juggling and doing prioritization for all of these feature requests. Okay, so that's a typical day. You will get pulled in multiple directions. But if you just keep fighting every single day, you can't be an efficient product manager. You can't be listening to every single person and be like, "Yeah, I'll get back to you." That's just too much. So you have to be really customer focused. You have to primarily focus on end users' pain points and work backward from that. What does that mean? Let's say you want to build support for Kubernetes. I'm just using the most common popular technology right now. Oh, let's use machine learning. Oh, you have built a new algorithm and the accuracy is really, really high, and you want to bring it to market. But really, should you do it because you feel it's nice and cool and shiny, or because the customer is asking for it? What you will do as a PM is talk to the customer, actually talk to a lot of them. Maybe set up half an hour interviews. We do a high-level discovery. So I would ask questions like, "So when you come in the morning, what is the first thing that you do? What is it that you're really interested in doing once you're in the office? Today, why can't you solve those problems with whatever tools you have? Why can't you just write a program in Stata and solve it using that, or use R in your office? Why can't you use open source tools to solve this problem? Where is the key pain point?" And after you have 10 of these interviews in person, in depth with the customer, you will start getting insight. You will see a common thread. Like there's some pain point that they can't really talk about. They think that they know what they're asking for, but as a PM, it's your job to filter down to that one issue that they're trying to solve. Okay, now you have identified that issue. You have to validate too, like, is it only these 10 people in the whole market who are thinking about this problem? Or is this problem so big that if you launch it, then it's going to help with customer acquisition, or it's going to help reduce your churn, or even help these customers refer your product to other customers? Now, I would go back and do some market research, look at what's in the market. If I look at blogs, what are people saying about it? I would go to conferences to hear from the thought leaders, what is the next big thing, and really validate, what I heard from the customer. Okay, some validation has happened. Now I would start writing user stories. And as part of that, I would write a full scenario, like XYZ is a VP of engineering at Adobe, and in the morning he comes to office, he wants to see a top level view of performance of all of the applications, or he wants to see what is the impact of the new machine learning model that was pushed into production. Do you need to refresh and retrain the model? Okay, very high level, but really it shows how is the end user going to actually use that feature in production once they're in the office. From that point, you start breaking it down into tiny pieces and user stories. And that a user story is an independent part of it that you can assign to a software developer. That developer runs with it. They can work closely with a design engineer within your organization, push it out. Okay, so at this point, what we have done is, we have tried to figure out a user need. We have broken it down. The engineering team can build. Now let's assume engineering team has built it. What do we do next? Now we need to start working on go-to-market. How are we going to bring it to market? What is going to be the messaging? What is going to be the impact on pricing? And as part of that, you will work really closely with the marketing team, because they will develop your marketing collateral. What goes on your website, what goes on your billboards if you are using those, or if you're going to a conference, setting up a booth there. What should be the look and feel and messaging? What should it be like? You will also develop white papers that you will send to potential customers, prospects or customers. Then you will work with the sales team, because they are on the front line. They are doing kind of high-level customer discovery. They need to be able to talk about this new feature that you build. Otherwise, it's not going to be sold. Otherwise, you just keep shipping it and nobody will buy it because they don't know what it is. Maybe you did a big blog and a marketing campaign, but if your customers can't find it, it's dead on arrival. So you need to train your BDRs. You need to train your sales engineers because they are the ones who are actually trying to close those newer deals that your salespeople are bringing in. You need to train the customer success management team, because they are the one, and the support team, because they are the ones solving issues for the customer. Maybe the product just doesn't work in their environment for some reason. Maybe they don't have root permission, or some library is missing and they just don't know that you can't install it without that. And so they need to know that as well. So as a PM, look, so far what we have done is, work with the customer, convinced everyone. All that as a PM you have done so far is, so you don't have direct power or over anyone. Nobody reports to you. The engineering team can say no if you ask them to build something, because they are not directly reporting to you. But what would really help is if you build their trust, if they learn how to trust you, if you and then your persuasive skills would be really helpful. You need to form like one-on-one relationship with people, and that's how you get things done. Another thing that really helped me was before a meeting where I would bring in multiple stakeholders from the organization, I would have a meeting one-on-one with most of those people and already get their buy-in, so that it's not a shock to them in the meeting what I'm going to talk about. They're already on board. We have had this conversation. We have resolved any issues at that point. After all of that, you ship your product, and when the customer writes back to you, hey, thank you so much for building that. We really wanted this feature. That's when you get rewarded, and that's the biggest reward of being a product manager. Now, why is the product role so important? I think product role in an organization, like you can be easily replaced, right? The engineering team doesn't really need you. They can build the product without you. The designers can do it without you. But it's your job to get to the product market fit. It's your job to be the voice of the customer inside the organization. In any meeting, you are the one representing the customer. So I hope this was helpful in understanding the role of a product manager. At this point, usually I would ask for any questions, but given the format, we'll do it towards the end of this presentation. Let's move to the next role. And let's talk about what happens afterwards. I've been a PM, now I want to start a company. I'll talk about that a little bit as well before moving to venture. Now, you're in a very unique position and a very unique time right now. It has never been cheaper to start a company. It's never been easier to start a company. If you want to start something, you will easily get developer credits from Amazon, Google. They want you to be on their platform, and you'll get support from them. All you have to do is convince someone to join you, build a team, build the product to market. But here is what I would talk about. Now, being an engineer, especially from IIT, one thing that we have to guard ourselves against and be really careful about is you will have this tendency that I can build any product. I can solve any technology problem. I can push it out to production. But really, you have to be very careful. You can build a product yourself, but what if there is no market for it? What if it is a shiny new feature that only you think is going to be really helpful and valuable, and nobody else really cares about it? So if you really are thinking about starting a company, and I'll spend a few minutes on that as well, spend a lot of time early on doing customer discovery. What do I mean by that? Now, traditionally, there are two different paths, right? You could be like, I want to build a B2C company or a B2B company. You may not be thinking like that, but B2C is like, hey, I want to build a meditation app that everyone uses, or I want to build an app that people can use to rent scooters or cycles and make it really easy to make the payment. On the B2B side, you could be like, hey, I want to sell $1 million worth of software to Visa or to Google, and I want to be in their data center because as newer kind of machine learning algorithms are getting developed, the software and hardware support is not really there to scale up because there's going to be so much data, and how do you make sense of all of that? Okay, so those are typically two different paths. If you want to go down the B2C path, let's say you want to build that IoT brush, let's stick with that. You as an engineer can build it. Maybe you can find some designer to really help with the user interface and push it to production. But before that, really try to get a sense of the market. First, do a high-level market analysis. Are there other similar tools that exist out there? Have they raised venture funding? No. Okay, if none of these tools exist, is this even the right thing to do? Is the timing right for you? Is the right time for this kind of technology maybe 2 years from today? Maybe not. How can you answer? So today what you can do is you can start using Facebook ads or Google ads and run a very small experiment and see if people will, go to your landing page, fill in their information. Hey, I want to buy it. Hey, here's my credit card information. Here's my address. Go to the next page. And maybe you can say, hey, thank you for your interest, but this is not available right now. But we'll get back to you. So that's how you're getting some validation from the user. A lot of validation has already happened because you have run Facebook ads, so you've seen how many ads were displayed on Facebook or your Google interface, and how many people actually interacted with those. Did they just see and do nothing? Did they click on those ads? You can get to a very good level of understanding. At this point, if you feel like, hey, there's nothing like this exists, people really want it, look at my data, I already have 1,000 users waiting for it, 5 have already paid for it, that's the right time to build a product. That's when you should really start thinking about how you're going to build the full team and bring it to market. On the B2B side, it's actually even easier. B2C, it's like hit or miss, go big or go home. There's going to be one winner in any market that you pick. If you're looking at social media, it's going to be Facebook. They have really won the market. People build newer tools. They ended up acquiring them. It's really hard to go against those kind of big players. Okay, so B2C, we've talked about. B2B is easier because there is a set process in any organization. They will have a problem. They'll do RFIs, request for I'm forgetting what the I is, but you'll fill in the form, and then they will shortlist some vendors for the problems that they're having. That could be, in cybersecurity, that could be container management, that could be operating system. What kind of innovation can you bring? Maybe you can build a unikernel solution. But really here, all you have to do is start picking up your phone and calling people. It doesn't come naturally to us, to engineers, to think about calling someone. It's like, yeah, that's a sales guy job. But no, if you want to start a company, that's really important. You're always selling. You're selling whether you're selling your brand, your company. You have to always sell. So you have to be comfortable with reaching out to random people. So in this case, what do? Call maybe 50 or 60 people randomly, like get in touch with them through LinkedIn, ask for a phone call, or get their information from tools online. You have to hustle and you have to figure it out. And then once you have had 50 conversations, maybe none of them want what you're proposing. Maybe you are proposing a new security solution for containers, but nobody really wants it because they're happy with what they have. And maybe all of them will say no. That's actually a good thing because you have saved yourself from wasting all of that time and money into building something that nobody wants. And if you can get to that kind of early customer discovery and product market fit, the chances are really high that you will have something. And when you go pitch to VCs, they will see that this guy actually has talked to customers already. He has some insight, and this product that he's building or she's building, has a market potential. So that's what I would do if I were to start something again. Now let's talk about venture capital. Venture has been really interesting journey for me because now I feel like I get to work with all these amazing people who are starting their companies, have these amazing ideas, and I get to be a part of their journey, and that's what really excites me. But when you are, I guess the most valuable for you would be how to pitch, how to reach out to VCs. Warm introduction is always helpful. If you know someone who knows me, or if you know me, if you reach out to me with your deck, I'm more likely than not to take a look at it. And similar is the case with a lot of VC funds here. They get approached by a lot of people. We see a lot of decks. On an average, we try to see three company pitches every day. But what we do is we really focus on technical insight. And technical insight is basically you have figured out something in a large market that if you were to tell a talented engineer, that person can't figure out how to do anything with it or how to implement it. What does that mean? Google can throw 1,000 engineers at the problem and they can't solve it. And all of our portfolio companies have some sort of a technical insight. So when you come pitch to VCs, what are they going to, in their mind, what are they going to kind of think? How are they going to evaluate your idea? It also varies by stage. And if you're not familiar, let me add some color to that as well. We focus on seed stage. Seed is the earliest, actually not the earliest. Earliest would be friends and family round or pre-money, pre-seed money that you have raised from someone. Friends and family round could be people really trust you. There are some high net worth individuals that you have convinced that this is the right idea and they should invest. Maybe you have raised 100, 200K, and I'm using dollars. You can do the conversion math later. 100, 200K, that gives you enough to build an early prototype and bring it to market. By the way, there are a lot of people who will write you those kind of checks. You will be surprised. If you are after the right problem and a large market with the right team. Team is also very important. That's another question, but longer conversation. But it's very important you find someone who is complementing your skills. If you're really good at working with customers, you want someone who's really good at building the software, writing the underlying code that really scales. Okay, so going back, you've done friends and family round. Now you're doing the seed round. Seed would be, hey, we don't have customers right now. We think this is the right problem to solve. We have some notion because maybe we have a few customers in the pipeline. We haven't closed them yet, but we think there is a very good chance. And this market is what going after. Okay, so what are you doing? At this point, you're raising anywhere between $2 to $3 million, and where we come in is we'll write $500,000 to 1.5 million check. That's seed. Seed is really like, what are you doing? You're setting milestones for yourself. You're saying, hey, in next 18 to 24 months, I'm gonna hit $1 million ARR. And ARR, if you're not familiar with SaaS metrics, I would highly recommend do take a look at it. Most of the business today is done using SaaS. So in the older world where you would buy CDs from Microsoft, perpetual license, that is gone. Now it's really about SaaS subscription. You have to make sure your customers are happy. They pay you money every month. So here what you're doing now with the seed stage is, you want to get to $1 million in ARR. You want to have 8 to 10 large paying customers, or maybe even more, and a big pipeline of users who would be willing to pay you money after that. So that's seed. Now let's go to Series A. You've done your seed. Now you're like, okay, we have accomplished product market fit. We think this is going to go big. We already had at this ARR, and now we're going to hit the next phase, which is going to be 7 to 8 million ARR. And to get to that, I need to scale my company. Right now I have 15 employees. I want to scale up to 55 or 60 because without that I can't really do it. You reach out to Series A fund. Series A will typically write you check size of anywhere between $5 to $10 million, give or take, and there's math from our side too, like how are we calculating our ownership. But it's really like, if you get the right people on board, they will be your advisors and mentors and really help you, not just acquire customers. They will help you with hiring strategy. Your quarterly board meetings will be a really good way for you. And if you really want to be the CEO, you want to build the right people, bring them on your board. Okay, so Series A, what is the biggest question for them? It will also depend on the size of the fund. If you reach out to a fund that's like, let's say $200 million, their expectation will be very different. They will be happy if they invest $5 million in your company today, and your company exits for I don't know, $100 to $200 million in next couple of years. The dynamics really change if you reach out to a larger fund. Let's say you're reaching out to a fund that's investing $800 or $1 billion, right? They want unicorns. And the math would be, if I invest in 30, 35 companies, I want 2 or 3 of them to be unicorns, so that returns my fund. So the first question on the top of their mind is, can it be a $1 billion company? And if you're in a market whose size is $100 or $200 million, by definition, you can't be a $1 billion company. And by definition, you can't raise money from those venture capital funds. So really, it's very important to think about the market size. And market size should not be from just your Gartner and Forrester reports or online research, markets and markets. You have to really think about who is the user who's going to buy your product, how many of those users exist. So really do a bottoms-up analysis of the market. To make it easy, if you were to open a stall at IIT Guwahati, you have to figure out how many sandwiches you can sell every day. You have to think about how many students are on campus, how many visitors are on campus, will the faculty and administration really buy those sandwiches, what will happen on the weekend, there will be nobody around, or will they go to the city, and that will affect. So using that, you can get to a fair estimate of what your total market size is, and how much can you of that can you actually win. Can you build a product or a service that is really competitive compared to other options that customers have access to. Okay, so at this point, we have covered the 4 different types of roles. I've covered how I made those transitions, why I made those transitions. Like I thought product management was the best job possible. That was, for me, If you don't like interacting with customers, maybe the best job for you is a software engineering job where you climb up and amazing opportunities. A lot of companies are led by engineers. That culture is slowly changing, and there is more product focus and customer centricity that's coming into organizational culture. And now, as a venture capital guy, I think this is the best job possible. I really enjoy what I'm doing, and I think I'll continue doing this for some time. I want to talk about a few soft skills as well, which I think would be really helpful for you on the campus in life. Um, you have to Soft skills are really important. And when I went to the MBA program, I think in addition to the quantitative skills that I added, that was sort of key takeaway. But when I say soft skills, okay, you have to focus on managing your relationships. You can't reach out to people when you need something. You have to be always willing to help people. You have to offer help to anyone, because you don't know, like, everything is long term. You don't know when you might need something or when that person might be a valuable person for you. Be very interested in people. See people as people, not as business contacts, and be genuinely interested in them. So that relationship building will also be driven by the trust that you're able to get from the users, from those people. If they don't trust you, they're not going to work with you, whether in a team or as a customer or as an investor. And they won't say to you, "Don't have a face." It's just one of those things. And if you do back to someone, it's all yours to lose. That person is started. So really take order to 5 minutes. On the axis, you can think competence, and the y-axis you can go forward. So everyone is important. You want to be a low warmth and low competence person because people will perceive you as stupid. You don't want to be a high warmth and low competence people because people won't want to interact with you. They're like, he's a nice guy, but I'm not going to depend on him for my brain surgery. He doesn't know what he's doing. You don't want to be high competence and low warmth guy too, because you will appear as rude to people. You want to be high competence and high warmth people. When people meet you, be really nice and warm to them, but don't compromise on your competence. If you have chance interactions with people, maybe you're meeting someone for 5 minutes in an elevator, turn that into a meaningful exchange or encounter, and you will be surprised how much those things would affect your career trajectory and the choices that you make later in life. So if you meet someone who you really are like, man, this person is phenomenal, I wish I was a friend of this guy or this person, or a business leader is somewhere and you are in the elevator for 5 minutes. I know it's hard, but if you can say something meaningful and even walk away after that, that person will remember you. And and now what you have done is you have turned that chance interaction into something meaningful. And it all works in the long run. Everything is a long run game. We are not here for the short haul. You are in this campus right now. Start investing in that right now. Which brings me to the final point, which is about reaching out to the alumni. So one thing, while you're on campus, do it. It's easiest right now for you to reach out to people. Once you graduate, they'll be like, okay, there are like 5,000, 10,000 other people out there. Reach out to them right now, and when you send a LinkedIn request to someone, add a note. Why are you reaching out to them? What about their experience stands out for you? What do you want out of this interaction? Are you advice, or do you have some immediate need that you're reaching out for? Don't just blindly send emails or invites. And that's another opportunity for you to build trust. Well written, thoughtful. Don't do it like a summer internship where you're sending out 1,000, 1,100 emails and you don't know who you are sending it to. Be very thoughtful, intentional, and research a little bit, just a little bit, and then you will have a very meaningful dialogue with whoever you reach out to. What else? Yeah, the final piece is right now I'm volunteering as the president of the Bay Area Alumni chapter. We have more than 500 alumni here who are doing some amazing work. I would encourage you to reach out to them. if you want to find a perfect job, or if you have questions about the value of an MBA or master's or whatnot, reach out to them and talk to them. What I'm doing here is setting up events like this. So in a few weeks, we'll have a conversation, a fireside chat with one of our alums, Tushar Garg. He's a CEO of Fly Homes, which is a Seattle-based company where they recently raised $17 million in funding. We have some other amazing entrepreneurs, and things are changing. If you want to start a company, there's no better time, but be very careful and intentional. I think that's everything I had in mind for today. Now I think we can wrap this part up and open the floor for conversation. So, Isel, if you can take it over from here and let me know what's the easiest way to do a kind of hangout with everyone who's joining. Thanks for joining. I hope this was helpful for you. I wanted to make sure if you are investing this time, it's worth your time and it's worth my time as well. If I can help you in any way, feel free to reach out, and good luck with everything. Hello? Hey, you don't need to call me sir, call me Ashish. Yeah, I can't see you, so yeah, call me back. Okay, bye.